Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is away again on business, so we'll do our best to hold down the fort for him while he's away. This is a show we talk about Boston sports, get you guys all caught up to speed on the Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and Red Sox. Bear with me while I try to post a link as usual. Your computer literate, technologically challenged friend over here. Let me see what I can do with this. Whoops. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's see here. We got to paste this in here. I don't know why I did it twice. We don't need it twice. Give me that. Come on, you. Hold on now. Let's do that. Okay. All right, let's see this. And then let's do this. I swear this is much easier when Frank is here. Let's do this. All right, let's get things started. Big week this week. Patriots, another W down in Tennessee against the Titans. The Bruins had 4 games last week, and we also had the Celtics season opener yesterday, last night. So we got a lot to talk about. So we're going to kick things off right now with the Patriots. They've won their 4th in a row, I believe. So they're now 5-2. They're in first place still, and they are second in the AFC in the standings right now. So there's a lot of buzz about how many wins they're going to get and how good they're going to be and whatever. There's a whole bunch of hoopla surrounding all that, but sticking with the game here, I do want to touch on this is where me and Frank usually give our top 3 takeaways, what we saw from the game. The top 3 takeaways, Ramondre Stevenson looked like his old self running the ball. He was aggressive. He was quick. He was hitting the holes hard. And it was a good sight to see because they need way more of that from him. And much less of the fumbling stuff that he was doing before. So that was one. I'm going to go out on a limb here and, say that the Patriots finally have a deep threat in Kayshon Boutte. Caught a long touchdown, which we'll get to in a little bit. But, he's been making some long plays, and they really haven't had a guy stretch the field or breakaway speed and get some touchdowns. And, I just remember one he had last year against Kansas City for like 40 yards. So I think they might have a guy here. I think he's starting to round out into form in his 3rd year. So that's a real good sign. And shut down defense in the second half. I mean, the Patriots, again, it wasn't perfect, but they made some big plays in the second half. And, they made some stops and basically didn't give the Titans much in the second half. And so, I know earlier Frank said that they could be a top 3 or top 5 defense. I still think the jury's out on that. I think the secondary still needs some work. They have injuries back there now. Woodson, the rookie, didn't practice today. I guess Kyle Douglas dinged up. I forget the other guy's name. Austin. Dang it, I forget his name, but he's been out and he missed last week too. So they need some depth there, I think. And so I don't think it's this. I think it's 2 more, maybe 1 or 2 more weeks. The trade deadline is coming up, and so when we get closer to the deadline, we'll look at targets, what the Patriots need, and what they should get in a few weeks. And, I really thought that running back would be number one on the list after Antonio Gibson went down, and the way Stevenson was fumbling and the way Trevion Henderson's been used. He really hasn't looked the same as he did in the preseason. So that might still be on the table, but as of right now, they're not looking in that direction. But getting to the Patriots, the game itself, again, I am still befuddled by them deferring the kick. I still don't like it. They deferred the kick, and Tennessee started at their own 35, and they rolled all the way down and got a field goal. Luckily, the defense, was able to hold them to a 47-yard field goal. But it's not ideal to keep falling behind on the opening drive every week. They got to do something about this and clean it up somehow. Because when you play better teams, and you're playing Buffalo again, you're playing Baltimore, and Baltimore's not good now, but Lamar Jackson. If you're playing good Patrick Mahomes, if you're playing good teams, and you're already out of the gate behind 3-0, 7-0, it's not good. You want to be on the other end of that. You want to be on the end where, people are playing catch up with you. You're up 7-0. That's what they need. So I'm still kind of ticked off that they keep deferring, but luckily they won. So, the Patriots on their opening drive just started running right out of the gate. Stevenson ran for an 8 yards on the first carry. Then he ran for 14 on the second carry. Then he ran for 8 more. I mean, they were just pounding it down their throats. And so they ran a couple more times. Even Drake May had an 11-yard run somewhere along the line there, and then they got stopped. They were at the Tennessee 12-yard line, and Drake May got sacked. And they had to settle for a field goal, so at least they got points on the board. Danny watching me in the Bruins. All right, well, thank you very much for that. Keep us posted on the Bruins game. We'll get to them, but the last score I saw was 1-1 with a minute or so left in the first period. So, be curious to see how they're doing over there. Patriots Tennessee's next drive. Patriots allowed them to go right down the field and get a touchdown. So now they're behind 10-3. Again, the defensive adjustments, whatever it is, not good. Something that needs to be cleaned up early in the games. Again, against better teams, you're not going to be able to do that and get away with it. So they definitely need to figure that out somehow. Patriots next drive was a 3-and-out. But again, Stevenson, huge run, 16 yards on the drive. They had Drake May was forced to throw a pass high over the rookie Williams' head. And so they were forced to punt from their own 46. And so Tennessee's driving. And the Patriots held them out. So Tennessee's got a 10-3 lead at the end of the first quarter. Tennessee made some plays, and then on 3rd and 9, Clavion Chason had a sack and stopped him. It was a big play and forced him to punt. So that's a good stop right there. And this is one of the things that plagued them last year. They couldn't get those kind of stops. They couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. And this kid right here is really having a heck of a season so far. So really, really good to see that. Patriots next drive. Drake May, 21-yard run for a first down, and then Stevenson ran for 11 yards, and this is where I made a comment that he looks like the Stevenson of old. I mean, running hard, right up the gut, and did a good job. And so they made a few plays. Actually, another big play, Drake May. And speaking of big plays, I want to talk about your quarterback now, young Drake May, second year, 22-yard strike to Mac Hollins for 22 yards down to the Tennessee 10. And Drake May's completion percentage on throws of 20 yards or more, I don't have the number in front of me, but I think he's first in the league in those kind of number passes. And if you remember last year when they had Brissett in there, and even Drake May to a point, they didn't have as many big plays like this. It feels like they're expanding more and they're allowing him to make more throws deep down the field. And it's encouraging. Also, well, there's a couple things. So before I get too far off, right, the offensive line wasn't giving anybody any time to do anything last year. So you couldn't get a 20-yard pass off. I think the offensive line, while not perfect, has given Drake May much more time than what they had last year, number one. And, we was complaining last year that the receivers couldn't get open. Well, they couldn't get open because nobody was blocking. So the blocking is better, which is allowing them to get open and make these plays. And so, this is where, Frank and I talked during training camp about the offensive line being a cohesive unit. They're getting better, and it's allowing them to look much better on offense. I mean, for them to be starting to put up 20-something points in a game on average is good. Like I said, they shouldn't be averaging 13 or 17 points a game. If they are, that's putrid. So, really good. They made a couple runs. They got down to the 3-yard line, and then Drake May threw a pass to the back of the end zone for Austin Hooper. They get the touchdown. They tie up the game. Really good drive. Sustained drive, and this is what they have to do too. They got to sustain drives, run the ball, balance it out, chew up the clock. Really encouraging to see them doing that. So Tennessee got the ball back before the half. They had some plays. They hit Jefferson for a 12-yard gain. They had they had a few runs here and there. They also had after the 2-minute warning, they had a false start. And so they had a 3rd and 12 from the Patriots 32. And the Patriots blitzed, and Christian Barmore forced Ward to throw the ball in the dirt, which was a huge play. Again, I just mentioned, they weren't getting pressure on a quarterback last year. And, the addition of Milton Williams and having Christian Barmore back, who was out last year with blood clots, missed a really good big chunk of the season. Huge play. It's huge having him back. So they hold him to a field goal for 50 yards. And they get the ball back with 1 minute and 48 seconds left. And so you got the 2-minute hurry up offense. And here's where you see, okay, what can Drake May do? Can he lead the charge? Can he drive him down? And they did a good job. Actually, Tennessee boo-booed. Tennessee boo-booed and kicked the ball out of bounds, which is a penalty. So they get the ball at the 40. So they get good field position to start. Excuse me. Drake May ran for 9 yards. Then he made a completion to Derrick Henry for 12 yards to the Tennessee 39. And then, as I mentioned, Kayshon Boutte, down the field, wide open. Drake May, it looked like it was going to overthrow him. But Boutte, reaches out and, he gets his fingertips on the ball and hangs on and makes a great catch in the end zone and hangs on for a 39-yard touchdown. And so, haven't seen very much of that over the last few years. So really encouraging to see that. So they take the lead into the half, 17-13. And so I think that, Drake May is spreading the ball around. He's finding the open guys. It's good to see what they have working. Stephon Diggs, Keyshawn Boutte, even Pop Douglas week before against New Orleans had a big game. And now you got Mac Hollins. You sprinkle him in here, him in there, and you got Hunter Henry, who's been solid since he's been here. Uh, I like the group they have. I don't, again, we're going to talk trade rumors, in a couple of weeks or whatever, but there's a lot of scuttlebutt about AJ Brown not being happy in Philly, and people around here talking about getting him, and I don't think that they need him. I don't think that would be beneficial to have him and Diggs, fighting for the ball. There's only one ball. Only one of those two guys is going to get it, and then one of them is not going to be happy. With all the work that they've had to put in to get Diggs to get on board, I would just say, unless there's an injury and the guy's out for the rest of the year, I would. That's not an area I would lean to. So again, we'll talk about that in a few weeks. But I am excited that we have a guy that can get downfield and get open for a 39-yard touchdown or whatever. And again, Pop Douglas last week had one for 60-something yards. And so listen, that big playability has been missing here for way too long. And it's really exciting to see these guys. So second half starts, Patriots get the ball, and I understand why they're trying to defer so they can get the ball first and score first. And when it works, great. If and when it doesn't, then it's a problem. So in this case, it did work. Some big plays by Drake May. Pass to Diggs for 24 yards. From their own 12-yard line, get out to the 38, get some breathing room. And then Drake May on play action hits Mac Hollins for a 27-yard gain. I mean, Mac Hollins, a couple big catches in this game. And then Drake May ran for 6 yards, and during the run, he tried to stiff arm the guy like he did the week before. But when he fell, he hit his head backwards on the turf, kind of shook his head like he was going to shake it off. And I think he tried to go to the huddle, but the call from upstairs or New York or wherever it is these medical people that are looking at the concussions basically forced him into the blue medical tent to get him checked out. And so obviously everybody around here, myself included, is like, oh, come on, dude. Can't afford to have him out. So, Josh Dobbs comes in. And in the preseason, he looked like garbage. I'll admit it. I was not high on him. I think that, initially when they first signed him, I was like, okay, he's a legit backup. He should be better than Brissett. And then watching him in the preseason, I was like, oh, if Drake May goes down, they're dead. But he comes in and, he avoids a sack and throws a 13-yard pass to Pop Douglas for a first down. And it's a huge play. And then it was on 3rd and 4. And so Drake May was able to come back out of the blue tent, comes out, and he made a pass. He made some passes, and then they had a 4th and 1, and they went for it, and he threw a pass, and it was behind Pop Douglas. And Douglas was reaching behind and made an awesome one-handed grab to keep the drive alive. And so they get 1st and goal from the 6. And then Stevenson runs it in for a 6-yard touchdown untouched. Listen, really good drive. Again, exciting to see, something we've been lacking around here for a few years. And, they take the lead 24-13. And then on Tennessee's next drive, the ball is deep in Tennessee's territory, and Chason comes rushing. The Patriots rush Ward and force him. Chason forces a fumble and scoops it up and scores a touchdown and gives the Patriots 31-13 lead. Huge play on defense. Again, this is where Frank is is high on them. Top 3, top 5 defense. They keep making these plays, and they will look like a top 5 defense. And again, I think I mentioned it last week. They have the bend but don't break mentality is back. I think in between the 20-yard lines, they'll give you a bunch of yards, but when you get in the red zone, they're not going to give you much. But the pass rush has definitely been different, and for them to be able to put pressure is huge. Haven't had a pass rush around here for a while again, too, other than Matthew Judon, who got traded a couple years ago. So much needed, and they need to keep it going. So they get Tennessee next drive. They sack Ward again. Milton Williams. This is like, how many sacks have I mentioned already? Probably 3. Milton Williams, the $100 million man, $104 million. Comes in, gets the sack. It's huge. So they get the ball back. Patriots next drive, they go 3-0. Drake May gets sacked. They force the punt. And then Tennessee's next drive. Here's that name again. Clavion Chason with another sack on 3rd and 5 on a blitz. Another huge play. And the Patriots, they force them to punt, and they get the ball back at their own 4-yard line. And, they're making plays. They're making stops. They're holding them. They're not giving them anything. So, and again, people will be like, well, it's Tennessee. They suck, and whatnot. Well, listen, you got to beat the teams that are in front of you. And this is where, the Patriots have an opportunity to separate themselves from, being an also-ran like what they were last year, and moving ahead into being a playoff team. And so, this is huge for them. They're learning how to win. They're being consistent, and they're beating teams they should beat. And these are games they would lose last year. So, people are going to say, oh, they're beating tomato cans, but 4 weeks ago they were a tomato can. So you just can't not acknowledge what they're doing, because week 1 should have told us, hey, the Raiders are not good, and we had an opportunity to beat them and really be 6-1, had we not lost that game. So they're learning how to win. They're learning how to put teams away. They're learning how to put pressure. They're learning how to be consistent. All good things, and they need to keep it going. So the fourth quarter comes around. They got a 3-and-out. I'll just spare the garbage, so to speak. A bunch of 3-and-outs. Nobody really goes anywhere. The Patriots get the ball back on the last drive, and a little over 2 minutes. I want to say 2 or 3 minutes left. Dobbs comes in. They're not trying to do anything. They're trying to run the ball. Little sloppy. Jennings runs for a 9-yard run, but 12 men in the huddle, 5-yard penalty, takes it away. Then he runs again, gets some yards, and then you get the 2-minute warning. And Jennings makes a run and gets a first down from 4th and 2 at the Tennessee 35. So they're obviously trying to kill the clock, and he makes the run, and it's obvious that he stays in bounds. However, the refs rule that he's out of bounds, and they stop the clock. And so Vrabel's pissed, challenges the call, and they go to New York or wherever they go, and it gets overturned correctly. He was in bounds. The clock keeps running, and they were able to run out the clock. So, this is where, and, again, not to pick on Gerard Mayo, but I think this is the difference between Mike Vrabel and Gerard Mayo. I don't know if maybe Gerard Mayo would have made the same call, but the buffoonery that was going on last year, it's a complete 180. Having a real guy as the head coach, and he's making a huge difference, obviously. So, listen, solid win on the road. They won 3 road games for the first time in a while. It's not easy to do. I don't care if you're playing tomato cans or not. Again, these are games the Patriots would have lost last year with a lot of the same guys. And so, they're pushing the right buttons. And, is it perfect? No. They'll tell you that. The second half, only 3 points on offense is not going to cut it. So they need to rectify that going forward. Luckily, they had a big lead. But, a solid win. And we'll take it, Um, they got Cleveland coming up this week. Cleveland trounced Miami last week. I don't know, it was 31-6 or 30-something-6. Just killed them. And their record is 2-5, but they're playing better than what their record shows. They've been in most of the games they've played, I think. They have a good ground game. They have a rookie quarterback, but they have really good defense. You cannot overlook them. And it'll be the same theme coming home after 3 road games and after winning 4 in a row this week too. Just because they're 2-5, you can't take them lightly. You can't brush them off. You can't overlook them. I don't think they will. They've been doing a good job. They get some home cooking this week. And I'm looking forward to another W. And listen, they got a chance to win this week against Cleveland, next week against Atlanta, before they play at Tampa Bay. And that's going to be a tough game playing against Baker Mayfield down in Tampa in the heat. Baker Mayfield is playing at MVP level this year. He's definitely probably like, I would say 1 or 2 in the MVP conversation after some of the stuff I've seen from him. So that's not going to be easy. And it doesn't matter that they lost Mike Evans probably for the year with the broken collarbone. And Godwin's been out. So those are their top 2 receivers are out. But they got a rookie guy. I'm not even going to try to butcher his name, but he's been playing lights out. And they have good defense. And so, my hope is that the Patriots can win these 2 home games coming up and then go into Atlanta with a 7-2 record would be mint heading in there. And so, of course, Frank asks me, hey, you want to change your prediction from earlier this year, your 8-9 wins, and, what are you going to change it to? I'm still not ready to change that prediction. I still say I need to see it. I'm not ready to put them in double-digit category just yet because some of the teams they're going to be playing later on, like if you looked at Baltimore right now ahead on the schedule and said, oh, well, they're 1-5, they suck. Well, they haven't had Lamar Jackson. When he comes back, it's a different story. So I'm not ready to pencil in the wins just yet, but I'm definitely encouraged. And I would say by the time we get to Tampa, maybe it'll change. But for right now, I got to stick to my guns. So that's where I'm at with the Patriots. Again, excited. As long as Drake May is healthy, and that's another reason I haven't changed my pick, because if he goes out for any length of time, whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever, you can kiss the double digits out the window. That's what I think. So we're gonna hold steady right there. All right. Watching the time, I've really overran on the Patriots. I didn't mean to go this long. Now we are going to talk about the Bruins, or the Losins, as I've been calling them. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Oh, what a difference from last week. 3-0 after 1 week and lose 5 in a row. Now they're 3-5. It's not good. Let's see. We have an update from Danny. Geeky scored, and now it's 2-2. Cutter Gauthier from BC just scored. Okay, so that game's 2-2. This is a game they have to win. They can't lose games like this. They're in like the same territory the Patriots are in. I don't want to say Anaheim's a tomato can, but they're in the same territory as you, kind of near the top of the draft and bottom of the standings in the league. You have to get a W tonight. And so, listen, these are games you can't afford to lose. So let's recap what happened last week. They had 4 games. Starting with Vegas last Thursday was a late game. I only saw bits and pieces of it. Couldn't. West Coast game starts 10 o'clock. Can't stay awake that long. So they play Vegas, an old friend, Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy, baby, I never wanted to see him leave. But nonetheless, the Bruins had a 2-1 lead in the first period in this game, miraculously. And they allowed the tying goal with a minute and a half left. So it's 2-2. Then Vegas gets 2 goals in the first 6 minutes of the second period. They take a 4-2 lead. And Pastrnak scores to make it 4-3. But Vegas scored later in the second period to make it 5-3. So they're behind by 2 goals heading into the third. Vegas scores, makes it 6-3. And the Bruins showed some fight. They didn't quit, and they scored 2 goals later to make it 6-5. But I think I said last week, when you're playing teams like this, the Bruins are not a run and gun team. And if they play this way against teams like Vegas, Edmonton, Washington, or any other team that's a powerhouse on offense, Toronto, they won't win these games. And the coach, Marco Stern, pretty much called it out after the game and said, "Hey, we can't play this kind of game with these guys. Our game is built on defense. So that's what we need. That's what they need to do." And we've been over this when they built the team, when Don Sweeney and Cam Neely built this team in the summertime. They built it with the intention of they're going to be hard to play against. It's going to be all grit and speed and hitting, and there's not going to be a lot of, if they're playing 6-5 games or whatever it is like that, 5-4, they're going to lose those games. Their team is built around winning 2-1, 1-0, and so forth. And these games, 6-5, 6-3, whatever, they'll get killed. Winnipeg's another team that scores a lot of goals. They will not be able to match up with these guys. The Bruins don't have the firepower to do that. So not a good start to the road trip. And then it gets worse. They have to play Colorado Saturday night. And Johnny Beecher, who didn't play the first few games, right out of the gate, scores in the first 3 minutes of the game to give the Bruins a 1-0 lead. And it's all downhill after that. They couldn't get shots. They couldn't score. The Avalanche is too good. They were coming off. They were 4-1 heading into that game. They're one of the top teams in the West, and you're not going to be able to match up with them. Again, you can't do the firepower thing, but they end up losing the game 4-1. I think Swayman, stood on his head for a lot of that game and kept him in the game, but to a point. But the Avalanche is too good. He stops 34 of 37 shots, but it's not good enough. Colorado, they're forced to be reckoned with, and ironically, they're coming here this Saturday, so you're playing them again. But nonetheless, so now you're 0-2 on the trip, and you have a game Sunday night against the Utah Mammoth, and it's a game that I thought they would win, and they probably should have won, but they did not win. They lose 3-2. They had a lot of chances. They fell behind with about 10 minutes left in the third, but the rest of the way they could only get 3 shots. They got a lot of shots blocked, a lot of traffic in front of the goalie, nothing getting through. They're not able to generate what they need to score. And Korpisalo stopped 24 of 27 shots. He was okay. Again, the goalie's only as good as the guys in front of him. I forget which game it was I was watching. I forget now, but Zadarov has the puck, decides to throw it up the middle instead of off the boards. They come in, they score. I don't remember which game it was. It might have been the Vegas game. I forget. But, those kind of breakdowns can't happen. And defensively, there's breakdowns. There's 2-on-1s they're allowing and stuff. So there's some things they need to clean up there. So 0-3 on the road trip. On the 0-3 on the road trip, not good enough. They really need to at least get one win, especially when you're coming back to TD Garden to play the defending Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers, and Brad Marchand. And it's going to be emotional. The Garden was going crazy, and I'm not going to revisit all the upset Marchand fans for him being traded and all that. That's a dead horse to beat. But he comes back. A lot of attention on him, but he gets all the garbage out of the way right away. He's on the ice on the first shift, and they score because Tanner Jeannot, one of the new guys the Bruins signed, and actually probably one of the more expensive guys they signed, tripped Marchand and got a penalty. And of course, Marchand has to, get the assist as Florida cashes in and scores on the power play to make it 1-0. So his impact is felt immediately. So listen, they just can't beat Florida. They can't do it. I don't know what it's going to take to beat them, but even without Florida, even without Alexander Barkov, their number one guy out for the year with a torn ACL, and no Matthew Tkachuk, who's out until December with an injury, still can't beat these guys. I don't get it. And to add insult to injury, here's another guy I didn't want the Bruins to get rid of. I'm still flummoxed by this move. They get rid of AJ Greer, let him go. Well, he scored 2 minutes into the second, makes it 2-0. So Florida's got a 2-0 lead at the end of two periods. And AJ Greer factors in and scores. You want to talk about, the old Bob Lobel, why can't we get guys like this? This fits the bill. If you don't think they could use AJ Greer on the fourth line here, you got something wrong with you. So, listen, and I don't remember which goal it was, but, and it might have been Greer, I forget, but Mark Kostelik is standing right next to the guy. The puck comes through towards the crease, and he kind of takes like a half a swipe at the puck instead of just like two-handing and burying this guy into the middle of next week. Like, you got to play the man there, not the puck. The guy standing in front of your goalie, he's waiting for the puck. He's whacking at it, and you're whacking at the puck instead of whacking him. Even if you get a penalty, I don't think the coach, and I wouldn't either, be upset. I don't think the fans would be upset if the puck's coming across the street and across the net, and the guy's taking a whack at it, and you whack him and get a penalty and go to the box for 2 for a cross check. I would take that. You got to be more physical. Florida's whole game is crash the net, cause chaos, out-muscle you. And, part of the reason we got Kastelik is for the muscle. Like, dude, you got to use it. Play the man, not the puck. I say it all the time. You're playing the puck, and you're not going to win those battles. So listen, another update from Danny, 3-2 Ducks. I mean, come on, guys. Jeez, it's not cutting it. And I don't understand. They have to get better in front of their own goalie. You can't just let guys stand there and take whacks and knock the puck in. I still don't get it. So listen, so the Bruins score 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of the third to tie it. to tie it at 3. Sorry, tie it at 2. I'm sorry, they tie it at 2. Elias Lindholm gets a power play goal. It's his 3rd goal of the year, and I think it's his 2nd power play goal of the year. So it's encouraging. They are actually scoring a few power play goals here and there. For as much as I rag on them and call it the powerless play, they have been scoring a goal here and there. But they just can't. I don't know. On the third, and then then Marchand got another assist on Florida's 3rd goal, and they score, and Mason Lohrei gets beat like a turnstile on New York subway. The guy goes right around him and scores. I mean, I like him. He's a talented young player. He's good on offense, but he's terrible on defense. And I feel like he should be in Providence working on his game. And I feel like they're doing like the Red Sox with the young pitchers they rushed. I feel like he was rushed here, and he doesn't have a chance to grow and get better defensively against NHL caliber guys. And so, unfortunately, they don't have any options down in Providence that are better than him, which is bad. Or they didn't, excuse me, they didn't have the cap space to sign a better defenseman to compensate so they could put him in Providence. And also you have Hampus Lindholm in and out of the lineup being hurt with a lower body injury. It's not his knee, luckily, but missing him hurts. And I listen to sports radio, and I'll give Andrew Raycroft was on this afternoon, and he said, look, you got Charlie McAvoy trying to carry the load playing 27 minutes a game. It's not ideal. If he's playing 21 and you have Lindholm out there, it's better. And so it's a good point. So the defense is being taxed. I mean, McAvoy, I've heard some chatter about him. Oh, he's not playing good, and this and that. And like, he's got to be tired. He's playing 27 minutes a game. That's a lot. And yeah, he's making $9 million or whatever. And so he should be able to handle the load. But, when you're missing another top guy and you're taxing McAvoy and you're forcing Lohrei out there to play against better talent. And listen, his plus minus last year was like, I don't know, minus 44 or something. Like, I would prefer to them figure out a way what to do with him so that they don't ruin him. I don't want to see a case where, they have to send him to Providence and he never makes it back here. I don't want that. Or I don't want to see him get traded for nothing, right? I mean, if he was going to get traded, I would want to see them get something back significant with him as part of a package. If they were going to get a better defenseman and he was part of that deal, then fine. But if he's not, you can't just give him away. I guess is what I'm getting at. I love the offensive ability. He's got skills and he's got talent. Unfortunately, he's not the second coming of Cale Makar yet. So, he needs. They need to help him out. I don't know how they do it, and I don't know. And listen, I say this a lot. I wish some of the former players could come around, and maybe Chara is one of these guys. Now that he's in the front office, that comes down, and gives them some help, right? And as I say, as I just finished spitting out Lohrei with the offensive talent, Danny says Lohrei just scored on the power play. So thank you for that, Danny. Listen, again, I like Lohrei. The power play is a definite area of need, and he fits there to help them. So again, I don't want to see him ruined, I guess is what I'm getting at. And so, I want to see if can they get Chara to go downstairs and help him? Can they get Ray Bork to come in the building and help him out? I mean, I love seeing the older guys come in and do some stuff like that. I don't want, like, listen, when they signed Chara, I'm like, well, they're going to the well too much. But, in this case, they need that. Now, I'm not saying that, Cam Neely should be in the locker room, with the tough guys, rah-rahing everybody all the time. But every once in a while, maybe he should be able to go down there and point something out, and talk with them. Again, if you overdo it, you lose the guys. They won't listen anymore. But there's no way you're going to tell me that these guys can't make an impact and help make things better. And I'm frustrated. And here's another thing I hop on a lot before I move on to the Celtics. Of course, so there's two things I need to get to before we move on. The game's tied. Morgan Geekie ties up with 1.5 minutes. It's 3-3. And then, of course, they have to lose with 26 seconds left. They give up a shot. The guy shoots it. It goes off the post. And then it goes off the back of Andrew Peake's foot. So it's not his fault because he wasn't even near where the guy took the shot from. But they get a bad break and they get a bad bounce, and they can't not give up a goal in the last minute or the last 30 seconds. And so, once again, they have no coach here that can fix this. I've been watching this for 3 coaches now. Cassidy couldn't fix it. Montgomery couldn't fix it. And now Sturm can't fix it. And they're losing these games. And I tracked it last year. How many games they lost in the last minute or so. It was like 20-something games. I'm not going to revisit it. But please find a way to fix this. I mean, I want to see wins in the last 20 seconds, not losses. Can you guys please do something? And then the last thing I want to say real quick before we move on is awesome tribute for Marshawn. They did a real good job. He was balling like a baby. Can't blame him one bit. I'm sure there were no dry eyes in the TD Garden. It's well-deserved for what he did here. Again, I'm sure there were a lot of unhappy campers with me, and maybe still are, that, we traded him and I was all for it. And there's reasons for that. And again, nothing personal against him. Okay, but, the Bruins can't afford to saddle themselves with a bad contract for a guy that's aging. Again, a 34-year-old Marchand, a 31-year-old Marchand with a $7 million salary and, multiple years is way different than 38-year Marchand with a 6-year contract and a $7 million. That's salary cap jail for the Bruins. We've already been over it all, but, not to take away his moment. Well-deserved. I liked him as a Bruin, believe me. That part of it, it's not a personal issue with him to be traded. He'll be a Hall of Famer here. He'll be a Hall of Fame in the Bruins. He'll have his number retired when he's done. He's he should make the NHL Hall of Fame, but that remains to be seen. We'll see how that goes. But they get the W coming in here. And so the Bruins lose 5 in a row, and they got Anaheim tonight, and now it's tied 3-3 last I checked. And, they got a tough 4 games coming up. They got Anaheim tonight. They got Colorado Saturday at 3 p.m. They got Ottawa on Monday, and they got the Islanders on Tuesday. And so they got another, 4 games in 6 days or whatever it is, or 5 days. They got a tough stretch again. This condensed schedule, for a team that's rebuilding, that's young, is bad for the Bruins. It's not good for them to have this kind of year because it doesn't give them enough time to practice and breathe and get right in between games. And so I kind of don't like this, but enough of that. That said, we got to get on to the Celtics before we run out of time. The Celtics lost their season opener to the 76ers, 117-116. They had big leads in this game. I want to say they had like a double-digit lead at some point. And then they had a 9-point lead with they had a 9-point lead with 3.5 minutes left, and they gagged it away. Jaylen Brown and Derek White both had 25 points each. Peyton Pritchard had 16. Neemias Queta, who's my guy, this year. 17 points, 8 rebounds. It's too bad he fouled out near the end of the game. But, he was really good in the fourth quarter. But again, it's the threes. 11 for 43 from three. Terrible. 25.6%. Not going to cut it. Philly was 16 of 40 from theirs. 40%. Shot way better. In the last 3 minutes when they lost the lead, they had bad 3-point shots and bad shot selection period. They had bad passing, looked like playground passing on some of them, and bad defense. They kept getting out-rebounded at times. Philly on the offensive glass would get second chances. I mean, they had some breakdowns, and it's gonna bite them if they don't get them rectified. So those are areas they need to clean up. Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey, 40 points, was unstoppable. Nobody could guard him. And rookie VJ Edgecombe scored 34 points. And I think he's the first rookie to score that many points since, I forget who it is, Wilt Chamberlain or somebody. It's been a long time, but he was unstoppable. He was unbelievable. And so, look, even without Joel Embiid, who's one of their top guys, who only got 4 points and was like 1 of 9 from the floor or something like that, to come in here and fight back and scratch and claw and get a W here. The Celtics are way off from where they need to be. Near the end of the game, ball goes into Sam Hauser. He's like just inside, I think, the 3-point line on the right side. He's got a wide open look. Doesn't take the look. Tries to pass it back to the new guy, Simons. It gets picked off by Maxey. And luckily, on the way back, Simons stopped him on the drive. But Sam Hauser should know better. You can't make a pass like that, dude. And I don't understand why they're so reluctant to give up open looks. Philly did it too. I watch games here and there. I don't watch as much NBA as Frank does. But the games I watch, all the teams do the same thing. They have a wide open look inside, maybe 15, 18 feet. They pass it and kick it back out to get the threes. And I'm sorry, it's boring and it's horrible. And I hate all these threes. And they go up and it's like watching New England Brickmasters. I mean, this is terrible. I don't want to see all these threes. And I know we're going to see them because Joe Mazzulla is not going to change. So, last week I said they were going to get 45 to 48 wins, and that might go out the window because if they can't hit these shots, I mean, Derek White, only 4 of 13 from 3, but there was a spurt where they went on like a 16-0 run. He was part of that, knocked down a couple threes and, made some foul shots, and he had 6 or 8 points in like a few minutes. But you can't have hot and cold like that. You can't have that spurt and then the fourth quarter you're laying up bricks and you're hitting nothing. And that's kind of what happened to him. He didn't hit too many shots in the fourth quarter. The end of the game was wild. The Celtics are down 117 to 114. And they let Peyton Pritchard drive and get a layup with 8.5 seconds left. So it's 117 to 116. They foul Edgecombe. And, miraculously, he missed both free throws. The Celtics get the rebound. Jaylen Brown gets it, immediately calls timeout. I don't think that's what Joe Mazzulla wanted. I think Joe Mazzulla wanted them to push it up the court with 8 seconds left. So anyway, they inbound the ball. It goes to Pritchard. He drives in the lane around 3 big guys. And I'm like, who the hell called this play? Why is he trying to drive in between all these trees? It's stupid. So he throws up a shot. It bounces off the side of the rim. It goes out of bounds. The Celtics get the ball. There's a second left or whatever it is, 2 seconds left. They inbound the ball to him again on the left baseline, and he throws up a shot 14 feet away, misses the shot. They lose the game. I don't understand why he was the first option on both those plays. you know, minimum, Jaylen Brown should have been the first option on one of those plays, preferably the last one. And Derek White should have been an option on one of those plays. Either one of those plays, first or second shot. Peyton Pritchard, his strength is not driving the lane late in the game to win you a game. He's got to be like getting open for three to win you the game. So there's something wrong there. I don't know who called those plays. I don't know what Missoula was doing, but or if those guys just went off script. I heard something else from Brian Scalabrine after the game about Jaylen Brown didn't fight hard enough to get open to get the last look. I didn't see it because I wasn't focused on that when I was watching the game, and I don't remember seeing the replay for it. So, he's there watching the game. He's been an NBA player. I'm not going to argue about that. And I would agree that he's got to be, if he wants to be the number one guy, he's got to step up and do this just like he did in the finals when he won the MVP. And I don't doubt that he has it in him to do it. And so hopefully we'll see more of that going forward. And so I don't know if there's some bad juju in the TD Garden. The Celtics losing all these games at home and the Bruins losing at home to Florida. But the Celtics 2 years ago only lost 4 games at home. Last year they lost 13 games at home, and now they're already starting off on the wrong foot. So I'm hoping that that's something they can clean up. All right, let me move on here. There is one more thing I need to get to NBA-wise. I know we would have touched on. I wish Frank was here for this. There's a gambling scandal in the NBA. 3 former players, actually 1 current player and 2 former players were arrested. Were arrested for gambling charges. The head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers and former Boston Celtics, Chauncey Billups, and Terry Rozier, a player for the Heat, were arrested along with more than 30 people in 2 criminal cases, alleging sprawling separate schemes to rake in millions by rigging sports bets and poker games involving mafia families. This is the feds, and so when they get involved, it's big news. Portland coach Chauncey Billups charged with participating in a conspiracy to fix high-stakes card games in Las Vegas, Miami, Manhattan that were backed by, I'll just say crime families. I'm not gonna point that stuff out. Terry Rozier was accused of second scheme to concoct fraudulent bets by exploiting confidential information about NBA athletes and teams. It came out that one of those players he mentioned was LeBron James. The NBA placed those 2 on immediate leave from the league. And also arrested was former NBA assistant coach and player Damon Jones. I think he was a Celtic too. The sports betting case is the first case. 6 defendants are accused of participating in an inside sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about NBA and athletes. Says it's one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the U.S. I knew this was going to be bad news at some point, and it's coming to roost right now. More and more, it's going to come out. Rigged poker game case: 31 defendants, including former professional athletes, accused of using technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in illegal mafia-backed poker games in the New York area. Listen, we've seen NFL guys get pinched for this, betting on games. The legal sports betting thing is a big deal. We've talked about it on here. How do you know what's real and what's not? I still say the NFL games are rigged. They're scripted. And actually, I've been saying this. I've been saying this to Frank and his group. I've been on here saying it, that you ever notice when there's a big play, there's a flag, they take the flags away, they take the plays away. They don't want big plays because some of the big plays influence the outcome, over-unders, who scores first, blah, blah. There's some shady crap going on. So they tout the DraftKings and BetMGM, and they're sponsors of They're sponsors of sports radio shows. They're sponsors of NFL. They're sponsors in the NBA. And then turn around at the bottom and put the disclaimer at the bottom. If you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800 blah blah. And you're going to get more of this. We had some NBA players last year get pinched, so I would stay tuned. I think there's going to be more, and I'll just leave it there because we're obviously going to run over. I'll try not to go too far. So we'll move on now to the poll questions. Actually, there were no poll questions this week. I actually just posted 2 poll questions, NBA related. We will keep those for next week. We don't have enough votes to actually do anything with them. So please go vote, and we'll put some more questions in for next week. So that takes care of that. The weekly predictions. Last week's predictions. Let's see. Last week's predictions. All right. Last week's predictions. I said that the Patriots would squeak out a win in Tennessee, 23-20. And wrong. They stomped them, 31-13. I got half credit for having them win, which is not a shock. But I really did think that they were going to be tougher to deal with for the Patriots than they were. So wrong there. Austin Hooper gets his first TD. Ding, 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 ding. I finally get one right. Frank's away. I think I get more right when he's not here. So got one right there. Next one, I said the Bruins would lose 3 of their next 4. Wrong. They lose them all. 0-4. Not good. So hopefully they'll have a better week this week. And I said Victor Arvidsson would get his first goal. Wrong. He still hasn't scored. 8 games in. No goals. This guy's a complete bust. If he doesn't score by game 15 or 20, I say ship him out of here or let him loose. Eat the salary, move on. Get me a guy up here that can put the puck in the net. He's been garbage. He's got to score goals. I mean, they brought him here to score 20 goals, and he's giving them nothing. So, no bueno, no good. All right, let's move on to next week's predictions, which are right here. All right. They're playing Cleveland this week at home. All right, this is where I say they squeak out a win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I'll say 19-13. I don't think Cleveland's going to make it easy for them, but the Patriots should be able to do enough to slow them down. They have a rookie quarterback. Despite the good running game they have, I think the Patriots should be able to pull it off. Number 2, I think Stephon Diggs gets his first touchdown as a Patriot. He doesn't have any yet through 7 weeks. That's a long time for him. I think he's way overdue. So I would like to see that. The Bruins, I say they split the 2 games. I'm hoping they pull off tonight as one of those wins because they ain't beating Colorado. And the last 2 games against Ottawa and the Islanders remain to be seen. They've had a hard time with the Islanders too. So look, I call for a 2-2 split. I'll keep the Arvidsson gets his first goal. He's got to come through somewhere along the line of these games, or I say dump him off. And that's it. We are finished. That's it for the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for the commentary. Danny, thanks for your help. Make sure to check us out on YouTube. And we'll see everybody next week. Peace.